What's up, everyone? Austin and Cam here from AppSheet Training. We are glad to have you on this week's webinar. This week, we're going to be going over automations in AppSheet. So if you're joining us for the first time, make sure to say hi in the chat and tell us where you're from and what you're working on in AppSheet. We're super excited to have everyone here today. Excited to have Cam on as our featured developer. And we're going to go ahead and get started with a quick icebreaker question. So, Cam, if you want to introduce yourself first of all, and then our icebreaker is open to everybody in the chat as well. But this week we're talking about what's our favorite part of the app development process and why. And then I'll go ahead and pass it over to Cam.
Hey guys, my name is Cameron Lupton. I am a developer, consultant, designer. You name it, I'd probably do that at Crew. I've been working here for 4 years, started spring of 2018. And so jumped on when it used to be called Grease Dot Solutions, then quickly changed it over to Crew Technologies. And now we got AppSheet Training going, and it's been a blast seeing the evolution of our company, but also to the evolution of AppSheet and how much they've improved and been able to cover more and more use cases, and it's been awesome seeing AppSheet applied to different businesses. What's your icebreaker for me?
So the icebreaker is, what part of the app development process is your favorite and why?
All right. I would say like the very beginning.
Yeah, like
the very beginning of whenever you start like hopping in Google Sheets.
Okay.
And then generating tables, switching the column types, all that stuff. It just happens so quickly. It's just like you go from having a blank spreadsheet to having an app that would probably take in 40 hours to create natively. You can have that in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just like awesome to see that, and like how quickly you can get to an MVP for what would be an expensive MVP for other platforms. But yeah, I would love to hear what the chat enjoys most about the app development process. And then coming from a graphic design background, I would say just pushing the UI and the UX further. So whether that's like actually bringing in elements, setting up the branding portion, creating like pleasant themes to work around. But also like just making stuff intuitive, like putting action buttons in like on detailed views that actually make sense instead of just like having like 30 action buttons, like doing one that makes sense that you think will be used often and that will actually improve the workflow instead of just busy the screen. I love thinking about all that stuff all the time. But what about you?
For me, I would say it's probably I really do enjoy data structure and trying to figure out, okay, here's the plan, like the general plan for the app, and then how can I structure this database in a way that will meet those end requirements. And so that part is fun. I find it helpful to have like data just to populate the app at first, even if there's not like actual data yet. So that way I can like start, when I connect it to AppSheet, I can start seeing how the data is going to be visualized inside of the editor and everything. And I think probably the most challenging part though is the automations for me, actually. So I'm excited to see how it relates in this webinar and how you show us what's possible with automations. I did enjoy the UX design part that we did last week. That was really fun, just seeing how to create, like you say, that intuitive design, guided user experience for the end user. And it kind of builds as you're going through the app development process. Like you might have to go back to the data structure and say, oh, I need to add this column so this action will actually trigger and work the way I want it to. And then we did that too when we were building out expressions. And we saw like, oh, we need to go back in the data structure, create a resource categories table. So that way this link to filtered view works correctly. So
yeah, I like what you said. First of all, by the way, nice shirt, Austin.
Yeah.
I like it. We're matching today.
Represent.
Unintentionally,
Yeah.
but always good to match with Austin Skidmore. But I liked what you said about having data in the database whenever you start the development process. And which is the case for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't creating their business workflows from scratch, but using existing data.
Yeah.
And when you already have real practical recorded data inside your database, when you start your app, it makes the like UI a lot easier to quickly do that, because you have all the data. So you already know what the views will look like as you're editing them. Whereas if you don't have data, you're like creating detail views that don't actually have any information yet. And so it's hard to like think ahead of time, like what does this app need? Like where does it need format rules? Where does it need grouping? What order should I do my columns and my detail views? All that stuff is so much easier to think through whenever you actually have data in your app.
Exactly.
Right here, we have a few people in the chat. We have Rex and Ken that are looking forward to this webinar.
Nice.
And that's exciting. And then we got Alexander saying his favorite part of the development process is doing expressions.
Let's go, Alexander.
Yes, expressions just make you feel like a beast.
Yeah.
I love knocking out a good expression where you're just like, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
We gotta
I'll
check out this comment real quick.
Yeah.
Condition plus action equals desired result. If desired result does not equal actual result, stop functions. Yep.
Nice. Let's go, Jeremy. It's nice to see you on the webinar again. Sweet.
What's up, Quinn? How's it going? We got Manesh saying his favorite is dashboards. Man, dashboards, you can go wild on those. Those are so much fun.
Yeah.
It's fun making those smart and logical and fun. And then we also got Jeremy geeking out over here about automations being his favorite part, which hopefully he enjoys today's show.
Yeah. Let's go. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's joining in. We're excited you guys are here. So we're going to continue going on. Keep asking those questions and hitting us up on the chat. All right. So today's agenda, we're going to be looking at automations as an overview. And then Cam's going to go into how to create those automations in AppSheet. And then we've got some time reserved to answer your questions with live Q&A at the end. So make sure you're sticking around. And as always, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Forms to Docs. They're a product of Paperwork Pros. They are a rules-based document creation platform, so you can capture information electronically and create those robust forms for your business processes. You're going to be able to automatically generate those PDF and Word documents based on this information. You can store, edit, and copy and share these documents. You have unlimited user licensing. And it's risk-free, so you can sign up for that free custom demo using your data. So like we said earlier, it's always great to have data to begin creating those business processes. So they're going to build these automations for you with your data. They're going to set up your first template for free, 90 days, no questions asked, guaranteed. These guys are great. We are friends with them. They are in the AppSheet community. They're no-code enthusiasts. So please go over and support these guys. And they have a great product here for you. So I'm going to go ahead and throw their link in the chat. And if you're interested, please follow this link so you can sign up for your free demo with Forms to Docs, a product of Paperwork Pros.
Yeah, and while you do that link, I just want to talk about like what niche this kind of fills. Because like we are an AppSheet channel, and we talk about AppSheet and we endorse AppSheet and we love AppSheet. But I imagine, Austin, you and Kale have tech talk after tech talk, and you see hundreds of use cases, and you honestly tell them, hey, I think AppSheet is a good fit, or hey, I don't think AppSheet is a good fit. Right. And it tends to be a lot of the times whenever AppSheet is not a good fit is whenever you need AppSheet to be dispersed to tons and tons of people. And so something like Forms to Doc with the unlimited user licensing can really accommodate that smaller niche that AppSheet might not fill.
Exactly.
Also, if you need a little bit more of a hands-off experience and need Form to Docs to build the app for you, that's awesome.
Yes.
And so, yes, we think it's awesome, and it fills in a separate niche than AppSheet, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Back to you, Austin.
Right. Thank you, Cam. Yeah, exactly. So if you're interested in learning more about Forms to Docs, please head over to their website. They're a great friend and a support of this channel. So we want to thank our sponsor, Forms to Docs. All right, so let's get back into our automations overview. So today we're going to review our use case of the employee onboarding app. Again, the main purpose is to onboard our team, AppSheet training. We're going to digitally manage this process through an AppSheet app. We've created team members, we've listed resources, and we can send company updates now. And so we're going to take a look at how that works with the automations. So again, starting at the start of your app development process, you're going to want to make sure you define each entity. So we've defined those here. We have a menu table, a team table, a department table, and a resource table. There's actually a few more tables added in there now, and we'll look at those as we're going through our app build with Cam. So what are AppSheet automations? So the way you create an AppSheet automation is by going to automations, bots, and then adding a new bot. And in here is some AppSheet documentation that tells us what each of these different tabs up here do. And so we have the bot, which is going to define the automation you want AppSheet to run. We have the events, and that's this tab right here, is identifying that data change to either schedule or trigger a bot. And then you have your process, which is describing the steps to perform when the bot is triggered. And we have a task that's defining the step in the process. And then document processing is allowing you to dynamically create those Google Docs to add, data from your AppSheet app or from your Google Sheets data into those forms that your users are filling out. So that's a quick glance at what automations are in AppSheet. And again, how to create those. You're just simply going to go to automations, bots, and then add a new bot. And then we'll be building out each of those steps throughout this webinar. So let me quickly do a demo of this for you guys of what this looks like in our app. So if we go over here to automations, we can see we have two automations set up already. And all I did was go to automations, bots, add a new bot. The first one I want to show you guys is the send welcome email, and it's on a data change. And then the second one that we're going to look at is on a schedule, and it's going to send weekly on Monday. So we'll kind of take a look at two different use cases. So the cool thing about these bots is that one, you're going to get to see a data change automation and a scheduled automation, and then it gives the new employee a cool user experience. When they sign up for an app, it's going to send them a welcome email that says, hey, welcome to the team, with their information, their role, their status. And then the second one is sending them like their onboarding schedule. And Cam's going to walk you through how to build each of these. So next, I want to show you guys, if you need access to this app, go ahead and head it into the description. We have the slides that I'm going through, as well as our quick reference guide here. And this is how you can access the employee onboarding app, copy it to your AppSheet account, and access all the data and all the new features that we've added to it. So go ahead and head over to the description, and then you'll click to, I think this is the third page. And then if you click this link right here, it will take you to our kind of AppSheet portfolio. And then you just click copy and customize right there. And then that way it copies the whole database to your account. And then you can access everything that's inside of this app and follow along with us. All right. So that's a quick run through of our demo today. And so I'm going to pass it off to Cam.
Awesome. Thank you. Diago, welcome from Brazil. That's awesome. Yes, let's get started. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
All right.
This music is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Who's enjoying the lo-fi music?
Just vibing.
Yeah.
Just vibing, enjoying this webinar. All right, guys. So let me go over here to the slides. And then first on the to-do list is set up an automation to welcome a new hire to AppSheet training. We want this to be automation based on data change. And so what that tells me is that we want this to be a data change bot. And just intuitively, we see the word new hire. So I assume that means whenever somebody gets added to the team table.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to trigger a bot whenever a new record gets added to the team table. Let's go ahead and start that right now. So we're going to go over to automations in our app editor. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new bot. I'll zoom in for you guys as well. I have a 5K monitor, so I get a little ruined for being able to be all widescreen. Nice. But yes, we're gonna go ahead and create a bot, and we're gonna call this new hire email. We're gonna create a custom bot. We're gonna configure the event, and we'll say this weekly trigger. Create custom event. We want, like what we said, a data change. We want this to happen on data change, and we want it to be ads only. And then we want to set this to the team table. And then we want to set up a condition. Wait, we don't need to set up a condition for this one. This one is fine without the condition. So we'll just go ahead and just type in true. Just that way we can confirm it's always going to be true. And let's just be safe and bypass security filters. It should not be needed right now. Since I don't believe we have security filters going on the data table, on the team table. Mm-hmm. But all right, so that is our trigger. So it's as soon as a new hire gets added to the team table, it's going to run this bot. And so now we want to specify what we want to run. So we'll call this new hire email process. Let's create a step for that. It is going to be run a task. And that task, we have to go create a new task. And we'll call this new hire email task. All right, so we're sending an email. And this is using data from the team table. Then all this stuff is just fine. And we're wanting this to run. I think I might have missed a step. Oh, no, I did not. That's the next automation I'm thinking of. All right, so all this is good. We want this to send to the email that just got created. And so this bot is currently running based off the data of that specific record that was added in that data change. And so that means we have access to the values inside that data. And so that's like the email, the first name, last name, all that good stuff. And so all we want to do to send it to is just the email. This is going to populate it with the email that was just added to the team table. And we're not going to use default content. We're going to specify it further. For this subject, I have this nifty little clipboard right here for me to decipher where I want things to be sent. And so the subject is going to be this right here. And I'll do a little explanation of what this is doing right here. So we can see this regular text right here. This is static text. This is going to show up inside the email subject exactly how we put it. However, we see these two open and closing carets right here, or angled brackets, whatever you want to call them. And then we have a column name. And so what this is going to do is dynamically going to insert the first name in this situation into this static text. So it's going to inject dynamic text into this subject. And so it's going to, if I create a new user as Cameron, then it'll say, "Hi, Cameron, welcome to the team." But if we add somebody named Josh, it's going to say, "Hi, Josh." All right. And then next we have the email body, and Austin put together an awesome email body that includes some like text stylization that bolds the titles of the columns and stuff like that. And so that's super cool. I'm going to go ahead and copy that.
Yeah. So if you're not
And
familiar with HTML format, this or the AppSheet editor allows you to add HTML formatting, which is pretty simple. If you can write the template expressions, you'll be fine with HTML formatting.
Yeah. And HTML is like a huge language, so there's just about infinite documentation on it.
Yeah. And so I'm sure, Cam, will you explain like the bold, how that works?
Yeah. So right here in the single carets, we see the letter B. This is an open tag that is specifying, hey, I want to start creating this text or stylizing this text to be bold, and it's going to run that bold action or whatever you want to call it until it reaches the closing tag. And so we see this /B inside of the carets, and that's when that bolding is going to end. And so what it's going to look like whenever we actually generate this email is it's going to say status : and then that's all going to, I'm actually going to add spaces after these. Oh, there's spaces in some of them already. But it's going to be status : space, all bolded. And then it's going to have the actual dynamic status followed after that. That is not going to be bolded. Just a really easy way to make your emails or your documents to have a little bit higher level of hierarchy of bringing your eyes to focus on specific things. And so this kind of separates the static text from the dynamic text in a nice and clear way. But we see a few different uses of dynamic. So we have a dynamic injection of data, and so we see first name right there. That is just like what we have up here. We see other columns being referenced right here, which is nice, but we also see a dereference. And so the team member has a department ID, but if we were to just do department ID, then it would just return AX13B24. It would be the key for that department ID. And so what we want to do is we have a dereference that is going to reach into the department table with that key. It's going to open up the portal with the key, reach into that record, and pull out the name of that department. Nice. And so now we actually have a human readable department name instead of department ID. Super useful and awesome. And you see that again down here, the same dynamic injection of data. But that is our email for a new hire. And let's go ahead and hit save and see if that worked. So I do not have my app deployed right now, so it's going to send to the email that is currently the owner of the app. And so let's go ahead and go into the mobile editor. Let's go ahead and, where do I add a new employee? I have to run it as somebody else, right?
Yeah, so it looks like,
Okay, so if I run it on at Grease Solutions and then go to menu, we'll hit join the team, and then we'll say John. Let's put real data in here. That way, where the email looks good.
Yeah.
So we'll do 979, the College Station email, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The role will be an employee. We want email updates. Yes. Department is going to be marketing. And then let's go ahead and hit save.
Yeah.
So now we are running this right now. And if I head over to my email, we'll see if I did this correctly. We'll see nice and live. And I'll just
see what happens.
Be listening to this music as we go. All right, let me slide this over. Hi, John. Welcome to the team. And so it has this stuff right here because it's saying, hey, this would usually send to John at Grease Solutions, but
Mhm.
this app is not deployed, and so it's sending to Appic Resource Solutions. So just ignore this. This would not be there if it's deployed. It says, "Hi, John. Welcome to the team." And we can see down here, Austin's bolding worked out great. Looks super clean, nice and readable, legible. And then, yeah, his point of contact as the head of marketing, I guess, would be Clark James,
Yeah.
which is not the case in the actual company hierarchy.
Yeah.
Um,
Clark is
but
the Clark is the point of contact for everybody on this app.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I was assuming that was based off of the department head or something.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. So that is the first automation. That's a simple one that's triggered by a data change. Super easy.
Yeah.
Austin, do you want to check out the message from Jeremy while I
Yeah.
move over to the next one?
Yeah. So Jeremy's been working on the new app script feature. That's pretty cool in the new AppSheet editor. And so he said that you can extend AppSheet to authenticate all of your workspace apps. I'll throw this up here. All of your workspace apps like Drive, Keep, as well as GCP, since AppScript has connectors built in using your Google account. So it saves you OAuth hurdles. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, just like 2 days ago, I was commenting on AppSheet's LinkedIn post about them having the AppScript native
connector
action, native task or whatever you want to call it inside of bots now. And just like, man, it is so cool. There's a lot of like speculation whenever AppSheet first got bought out by Google. And it's like there's a lot of speculation of what they could do, a lot of dreaming. We have a video that Stefan made on our channel of just like kind of dreaming of what we could do with AppSheet now that it's in the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
But like, it's awesome what you can do now with an AppSheet if you are a workspace user. It's like you can connect it straight up to AppScript and run JavaScript scripts that just make the data transformation so powerful. It's incredible. And then you can like set up Google Calendar as a table. You can set up Google Drive folders as a table, and you can view Google Drive files directly in your app.
Yeah.
As data. And it's just like mind-bending how far AppSheet's gone. And this strategic synergy is what I think I called it in the LinkedIn comment. It's just like they're really hitting on the synergy that they have available of them being a Google product, and it's awesome to see.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to functional requirement number 2. So this is the last one that we're going to be doing today. The goal of this one is to set up an automation to show new employees their onboarding schedule. And so it's going to send an email to each user that is being onboarded currently, and it's going to send them a list inside of a table, inside of a document. It's going to send them a list of all the resources that they need to check out before they can change their status to not being onboarded. And so this is automation based on schedule. And so the event type that we will be choosing will be schedule rather than data change like we did last time. This is going to be email body template. We're going to include a Google Doc PDF generation off of it. And then we are going to use a start expression inside of this resource table. And we'll show you how that works. All right. So let's go ahead and navigate on to AppSheet like the slide is telling me to do. All right. Man, I just love this music.
Yeah. So nice.
All right, let's go and create our second bot. We'll call this one onboarding email. Let's create a custom bot. Let's create the event. And we want this to send weekly on Monday. And let's go ahead and put in what it's for. Onboarding weekly on Monday. We'll change this to schedule, and we'll choose weekly. We want it to run on Mondays at 9 a.m., so we'll go ahead and switch that up. We are in Central Standard Time, so I'm going to go ahead and select CST. And then we want this to run for every single row in the table. Or we want this action to run once per row. And we'll limit what rows we want it to run on.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rows that the condition that we make are true, we want it to send each time for one of those. All right. The table is going to be the team table because it's going to be based off of team members who are being onboarded. The filter condition is not going to be just true. We see right here that this is expecting a yes, no. And so it's going to say, we want a yes, no that. So what we want to do is it's going to run this condition on every single record of the team table. And it's going to say, is this condition true on this record?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is, it's going to do the process following this, applying it in context of that row. And then it's going to go on to the next row and do that over and over. And so what we want to do is we want to see it. We want a list of all the users. We want a list of all the users who their status is equal to onboarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this isn't asking for a list. This is asking for yes, no. So it's running this expression each time through each record of the members, the team members. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use an in expression and check if that email is inside that list of onboarding team members. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to start off with a list and work inside out instead of starting with an in and starting outside in. So let's go ahead and start with the select statements. So we are accessing the team table and we're checking for emails.
Yeah.
All right. And then next we want the yes, no condition, and that is going to be status equals, is it onboarding?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. And with AppSheet Toolbox, we can select the piece of text and hit the quotation marks, and it puts one on both sides. Nice and simple. So we have a list. However, it's not expecting a list. It's expecting yes, no. So we need to use this list inside of an in function. And so I'm going to knock that down a few notches. I'm going to add the in expression right here. And I'm going to add this parenthesis at the bottom. All right. So the in expression has two different parameters. One is an element, and then two is a list of those elements. And so what we like to say is we are searching if the needle is in the haystack. So we're checking if a single element item is inside of a list of items. And if this email that's running it through is inside the list of emails who are being onboarded, then this will return true. However, if that list of emails does not include the email that's checking at that moment, then it will return false and not run the bot. It will kill the bot at that point. So let's go ahead and hit save.
Nice. I think this is super. This is a really cool expression. This was actually a question that I had for Cam when I was building this automation. I was like, okay, here's the feature request that I want for the app. And I've tried a few different things. I tried like what I call a join table, where it's collecting data from one table and collecting data from another table and throwing it on this join table. And Cam does use a join table in a timesheet app. That was really cool. So I was trying to add that same feature into this app, but he recommended this expression would work way better. And it does, because it's literally just checking to see what email has onboarding, and it's using that in expression. So I really love this expression.
Thank you for the compliment, Jeremy. I love that we can just show the comments on the screen like this.
Yeah.
But yes, did tons of expression mastery boot camps and have taught the in expression a million times. And Also, the in expression is just one of the most fun expressions to use. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah,
Nice.
thank you, Jeremy. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and click the bypass security filters. He also asked, contains works similarly, but not as detailed in the query. Yeah, we talked about this 2 weeks ago when I was on for the what did we cover 2 weeks ago?
Expressions.
Okay, we covered expressions, and we kind of
Mhm.
talked about the differences between the in and the contains.
Yeah.
The in looks for a specific element inside of a list,
Hmm.
whereas contains almost turns that list into a giant string of text, and it searches if that substring is found anywhere inside of that master string. And
Hmm.
also the parameters are switched where it's the list and then the thing you're searching for.
Yeah.
Because it's the haystack contains the needle, whereas the needle's in the haystack. It's
Hmm.
like the parameters and the syntax is kind of flipped. But yeah,
Right.
they're both two useful things
Yeah.
that have a lot of overlap. The Venn
Hmm.
diagram of the use cases are very very
Similar.
close,
Yeah.
but there is some niches on both sides of when to
Hmm.
use them. A lot of
Yeah.
times you can use them interchangeably, but sometimes you need one rather than the other. I'm going to bypass security filters just because we don't need to
Hmm.
play this safe because we aren't storing important data. However, if you were, just use your intuition and your understanding of your app schema and what data should be secure if
Hmm.
you want to check that off. All right. Next, what do we want to do every single Monday at 9 a.m.? What do we want the bot to do? We want to send a email that contains a Google Doc PDF generated template, and we want it to show the resources that person that this is triggering for, the resources that they need to see. I'm glad this is helping, Jeremy. So we're going to send an email, and we'll call this onboarding email. And then we want this to run a task, and that task is going to be a new task. That's is called onboarding email. I find myself naming task and processes almost exactly processes, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Almost exactly the same. So I
Hmm.
like to specify that this is a task and that this is a process.
I
I
started
I
doing that as
will
well. Yeah.
I will one day, maybe 4 more years working in the crew, know how to properly name tasks and processes.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Send an email. This is happening on the team table. This is going to be using a dynamic email. Oh, sorry. I don't need that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be using a dynamic email. I'm just talking now, apparently. This is going to send to the email that's running on, so we can really simply just put email because this is happening per row. And so it's happening on each of the onboarding team members. And so if we just use email, since it's running in context, it will send to the email that's currently running it for.
Hmm.
So I can go ahead and hit save on that. And then we do not want to use the default content.
Yeah.
All
So this
right.
is where you guys are
So
going to want to tune in. This is document generation and templates. So go for
yes.
it, Cam.
All right. So on the onboarding email, I trying to see
Hmm.
you have some email subjects that you have.
Yeah.
So I'll just say onboarding email.
Hmm.
Let's just add some dynamic information as well. Let's do onboarding email for first name.
Yeah. That
So that way it
works.
feels a little bit more personal, a little bit less
Hmm.
auto-generated.
Yep.
And then we'll say attached are your onboarding to do's. All right. And then we want to CC some of the admins of the app onto this email. Just that way, if somebody's like, oh, I didn't get that, you can be like, it emailed to you. It must be in your spam or something like that. Just that way you have a little bit of confirmation that it's sent to your new employees. I mean, I know onboarding is already stressful enough.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're doing things right. And if you can't find an email, that's that's not fun on your first day of work.
Yes.
And so just having the admin confirmation that it's sent is great. So we want to send to the admins. And then right here, we see that we want to CC to all team members where this is a little SQL parameter where role equals administration. All right. So we want to do a select. And then we want to be team emails where the role, the Roy, equals administration. Do I know English? Administration? Yay, it's correct. Okay, cool. I do know English.
Good job, dude.
I'm proud of myself. All right. All this is looking good. Nice and clean. The pre-header, Austin likes doing this little bad boy.
Yeah, this little trick.
Text, just because AppSheet will try to throw in its own default pre-header if you leave it blank, and so he likes to throw in a little space into there.
Yeah.
It's that way AppSheet doesn't do its default stuff.
Yeah. And then also the from display, I usually put...
we want to say who are you saying this is from?
AppSheet training. That's what I usually put.
Okay. This is from AppSheet training. Very cool. All right, and then we want AppSheet based off the team table. So right here we have the team table. And so if we get AppSheet to create a attachment template, then what it's going to do is it's going to create a new Google Doc, and that Google Doc is going to have some columns already pre-filled into the document that use some dynamic information. But also it's going to create a table for us of the related resources. The related resources isn't being queried by the expression that we want. And so we're going to adjust that, but let's go ahead and hit view to make sure it created it. Awesome. So this is what I was talking about right here. It kind of created a pre-generated Google Doc for us. And this is already a great start of where we want to be, pretty close to what we want the final stuff to show. But let's go ahead and change what it shows. We don't need the thumbnail. We don't need the first name.
Could you zoom in just a little bit, Cam?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and remove the different things that we don't need. And then right here, like we talked about earlier, department ID, this would just return the ID of the department, the primary key. And so what we want to do is actually get it to return the name. So we're going to dereference through the portal of the department ID and return the name of that department. All right. And then we want to add one more row. And let's call this one name, colon space. And then we'll go in here and we'll do brackets computed name. This is going to be the first and last name that AppSheet created by itself whenever you have a table that has first and last name. So we're going to throw in the computed name as the name. And let's go ahead and just make this a little cleaner and select all these and make them bold like we did in that first email.
Yeah. So that was one thing I was going to add is if you did want to work around from not having to use HTML formatting, you can just throw it into a Google Doc and do all the formatting in there. Also, we did have a comment from Jeremy. He says he's been having some issues with displaying margins. I think this is a pretty common issue with Google Docs and getting it to format well and stuff like that. think you'll be able to hit on some of those things as you're working
Yeah,
through
I
this.
know. Yeah, so the default margins for Google Docs is really kind of optimized for like college and high school and middle school essays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so the margins are quite wide, where it looks pretty clean, but it's not the best use of your space, especially if you're a company that's printing off tons of paper. You want to be able to use as much of that paper as possible. And so I believe if we go to file and then page setup, we can reduce the margins to like 0.2 inches instead of 1. I have not had experience with it actually generating the template with the incorrect margin. And so
Okay.
I don't know totally. I assume you already have been doing what I just did, Jeremy,
Yeah. I
with
have seen
adjusting the
it.
margin like that.
I have seen it with, like when we send the email, it will have like a bunch of blank space up at the top. If you're using the email body, um, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so like just what you did right there is what I usually do is just reduce the margins and then it fixes a lot of that blank space.
Yeah. Even still, right there, it's like there's so much space above this,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah, I'll look more into that, and if I find an answer, I'll maybe email you or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do a lot of cool things. How to set up an app for smart city projects can be surveillance or I would need to hear more about that use case. But if you want to, you can sign up for a tech talk with Austin or with Kale, and they'll get you set up with a conversation about that.
Yeah. Set up you with a use case and figure out what you're trying to build. So yeah, if you want to sign up for that, we'll have those links for you at the end of this webinar.
Sweet. So we have this running pretty well right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we like what we have, but we want to kind of curate this information right here to be a little bit more specific. So on the other screen, my other screen, I'm really quickly going to open up our example template, just that way I can know what columns of resources Austin wanted me to show. And so the first one is going to be us just saying what week it is.
Yeah.
And then we're going to change the ID right here to the week num.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to change title to resource. However, we still want the word title inside of the data. We still want to show that specific column, but we also want to do a line break right there and show the image as well. So let's go ahead and slap in another dynamic value. If we do image and it's an image type inside of AppSheet, it will actually render that image inside of here, right inside of this doc. Another cool thing with that is if you don't want the image to show up huge inside the doc, or if you want it to show up small, you can actually change that inside of your format rules. So if you apply a format rule to a column and it's an image, you can change it from tiny, small, medium, large, I believe.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then last we have link. And then we can actually delete these two columns right here. So let's delete those two columns. Let's take advantage of the space that we have, just like that. And we want to create the link to be a hyperlink. And so the URL that we are the column that we're using is URL, but we need to actually use an expression that turns that URL into a link that when you it says we want it to say the title. We want the text to be the title, but we want the actual navigation address to be the URL. And so we're going to use a function called hyperlink. And so the first parameter is the address, the URL address that you want it to send to. And the next, you want it to be the column that you want, the text column that you want it to show. So it's going to appear as the title of that record, but when you click it, it's going to take you to the URL of that record. And then when I erase those other two columns, I accidentally erased the end function. So we want to go ahead and throw in the end. All right. So if we ran this right now, it would iterate through every single one of these resources who are related to the user. However, that's not what we want to do. We just want to show all the resources. So we're going to actually do a select right here. Select of resources. Is it resource or resources inside the?
It should be. In the table.
Yeah. Okay, it's just resource.
Yeah.
And then instead of resource, the ID is likely ID. Okay, cool. So for the start expression, you want to return a list of IDs. If you return a list of anything else, it won't work. You have to specifically return the key of that table. And then we want to return all of them, so we're just going to hit true. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a new row inside this table for each record inside the resource table. And it's going to put the weak num of the first item, and then it's going to do the image of the first item, the title of the first item, the hyperlink of the first item, and then it's going to create a new row inside the table, and then it's going to do the same thing for the second item. And all these different dynamic values are going to run in context of the item it's iterating in for that row. So this is looking good, as barring me misspelling anything.
Yeah.
And so let's go ahead and test it out.
Let's see.
I'll hit save.
Nice. Another cool feature that AppSheet has is the ability to run these directly from the editor, which is nice.
Yeah, so we don't have to wait till 9 a.m. next Monday to see if our app worked or not.
Yeah.
So let's go to bot and let's hit run. So it's doing a quick run right now. And I'm going to drag this off screen. That way I can go to the email inbox. And then right there we see, oh, that's a different app. All right, I have not received anything yet, and so this gives us a great opportunity to debug.
Yeah, see what happened.
So let's go into monitor. And monitor is a little app that is for your account that will show all the different bots that ran on all your apps. And so we can go to Cameron's copy right there, and it will kind of filter this whole dashboard. And we'll see that the most recent one, which is the bottom, right? Yeah. 50 after? Yes. Okay. Error encountered in step with name onboarding email. The new process 5. Email task, hyperlink, URL title is invalid. Okay, I immediately see what the case is. This has an open parenthesis, but no closing parenthesis. Classic. Classic. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and add that closing parentheses. You gotta love whenever you find your mistakes quickly, especially when you're live or on a consulting call. Classic debugger. Yeah. Man, your name is perfect. You have the perfect name to be saying that right now. That is great. Debugger, yes. That's awesome. That's just the perfect name.
Yeah.
for you to be saying that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, another just pro tip. One thing that I was doing when I was creating the start expression is I wrapped the end expression with square brackets. It is not a column. You do not need to wrap it with square brackets. You just need the double carets. So just save you guys some time in case you make that same mistake. I definitely made that mistake and was like, why is this start expression not working? Because when you close it with the end, you don't need the square brackets.
Yeah, it's kind of like more of a function than a like a function of Google Docs rather than it being a actual
column in the database.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we received an email. Attached are your onboarding to-dos. We click into here, and we see that we have the first and last name computed, which looks weird. It's Crew Apps.
Yeah.
Which is not. I don't advise you guys naming your next child Crew Apps, no matter how big of a fan you are of Crew. It is not a pretty name. But our test user is Crew Apps at Grease.Solutions, and we got all that information running dynamically, which is great. Inside here, we have the week with the images that we wanted, and if we go ahead and click the link, we see that it is the title. However, when we click it, it will take us to the expression dashboard that we've created in our AppSheetTraining.com that covers every single expression. And so really cool how you don't have to see a giant, ugly, long URL. You can just have a nice little clean title right there.
Yeah. Sweet. There we go.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Jeremy, the start end function is incredible and it's super nice to use inside of templates and emails. You want to take over?
Yeah, let's go into some live Q&A. So we did have a bunch of questions come up during the live stream. So we're going to take a moment to answer some of these questions right now. All right. So the first one was the formatting rule. The kind of main answer to that, we saw some people in the chat say you can drag the rulers up, and also you can take off the add space before the paragraph. So those are options for you there. Yeah. Or remove space before paragraph, before and after, and that'll help with that sizing as well. So shout out to the chat. Thanks for answering that question for us.
Sometimes you hop in to teach a webinar and you get taught.
All right. Okay. So here's a good one. Let's see. So this person says in AppSheet, while creating a PDF, it automatically removes some basic formatting like docs, numbered list. Is there any way to fix this?
Removes basic formatting like I don't have experience with that issue. I'm sorry. I would have to do a little bit more testing to give you an educated answer.
Yeah. I would say if it's like removing the actual feature on your Google Doc, I've never had that happen to me.
I assume it's just not generating those.
Oh, those
things whenever
it goes through.
You generate it, I would assume, is what he means.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Not sure how to solve that.
Let me go ahead and reply to this one real quick.
Yeah.
Yes. Start expressions do work in email bodies, as well as email subjects, as well as if you are doing a webhook and you need to pass JSON objects, you can create them using start expressions. And so, yeah, start expressions can be used in a few different places inside of AppSheet, which are awesome.
Nice. Sweet. And then here's a cool question for one of our tools. Any plans to add the AppSheet toolbox into, well, like Google Docs and stuff?
Man, I would love that.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Stefan a few times. Let's go ahead and keep that up real quick. I would love to, and maybe you guys can petition Stefan to do this as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
on behalf of me. Just don't tell him you're coming from me. I would love for AppSheet Toolbox to be able to have that little pop-up arrow inside of Google Sheets, inside of Google Sheets and inside of Google Docs, where you can inject the snippets or inject the view names or the column names directly into AppSheet inside the Google Doc, as well as it autofilling the double brackets. That would be awesome to be able to insert. I think that might be a little bit more difficult because Google Docs is a lot more of an open environment than the AppSheet expression assistant editor. Yeah, that one's a little bit more of a closed off environment, but yeah, that would be sick.
Yes.
At least to be able to have that slide out menu for you to be able to see the schema while working on a Google Doc. Just that way you don't have to like go back into AppSheet to make sure you're spelling something correctly or capitalizing it correctly. Yeah, that's an incredible thing. Email Stefan at crewtech.com.
Nice.
Bother him.
No. But yeah, that would be a cool feature. I'd be down for that. And when we're creating document templates and stuff like that, I think that'd really help out. Cool. Well, let's keep going. So if you're still here, we have a little bit of a review. So today we looked at how to create automations inside of AppSheet. We looked at an overview of what automations are and how to create them. And then Cameron took us on a deep dive of how to build those automations inside of AppSheet for our employee onboarding app. And then we answered some of y'all's questions with live Q&A to wrap up. So, excuse me. So if you're interested in learning more about AppSheet training, the way it works is you're going to sign up for a free account. You can join our growing community of over 3,000 subscribers, explore and build with innovative tools like AppSheet Toolbox. You saw Cam demo that today. It's a great resource for you as you're building out your AppSheet apps. And then we have learning paths that are available on our pro subscription, and you get access to all of our courses, and we're updating them monthly. So it's a great package and a great addition to building on AppSheet. All right, so let's take a look at what each of those packages are. So if you want to sign up and join our community, it's completely free. You can join right now. You just sign up for free, and this will take you to appsheettraining.com, and you'll be able to sign up for that free account. With your community subscription, you're going to get access to these weekly webinars, AppSheet Toolbox, the AppSheet IQ, and blogs and articles. Blogs and articles are a great resource. So if you're like wanting to learn about new features in AppSheet or AppSheet training guides on best practices, we're releasing these every week. And so you'll get best practices on all of these features and all of these concepts within AppSheet. So you're going to want to make sure to get subscribed and stay connected with us so that way we can hang out and get you the best resources possible for building on AppSheet. Along with that, if you want more information and connect with somebody from the AppSheet training team, we have our free tech talks. So once you sign up for your account, you can sign up for a free tech talk with Kale, and he will walk you through what resources we have available and how you can best get started with AppSheet and AppSheet training and begin building your projects. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those links in the chat right here. So this is for the community subscription to get started. If you don't have an AppSheet training account, go ahead and get one today. It's free to sign up. All right. Next one, if you do have an AppSheet training account or you're ready to move into building professional apps and become more well-equipped on using the AppSheet platform, we have that professional subscription. This is our premium content. And so you'll get access to everything in the community, a fully immersive learning environment. New courses are added monthly. You get also an AppSheet certification. So if you're looking to acquire new skills and show that off on your resume or your profiles, we'll have that certification. And then when you pass it, you can get your AppSheet certification badge and then put that everywhere. So that way you can show others that you are a certified AppSheet developer. And then you also will receive 15% off consulting. So I'll go ahead, and those links that I put in the description are the same links to give you access to this professional subscription. And again, we have that 7-day free trial still going. So if you would like to register and kind of test the waters and see if this pro plan is right for you, then you can try it out for 7 days for free. And you're going to get access to all of our course library, anything from learning how to build automations and a full course walkthrough of what that looks like to a full, how do you say, a AppSheet Essentials Bootcamp. And so that's a full course walkthrough of database design all the way to deploying the app throughout your organization. So just really great content in there. And we're continuing to add to that each month. All right. And then if you're an enterprise account or a team that wants live team trainings, we still offer those. And you can download our business flyer by going to our enterprise page. And then you're going to be able to create more efficient workflows for your organization. So for those that are running organizations or teams, you can schedule your discovery call with Kale as well. And he can tell you a little bit more about how to move forward with AppSheet training and those enterprise plans. So I threw those in the chat as well. And then finally, we have a special announcement. We're doing another special event. We love doing these special events. You're going to want to be a part of this one, and it's free to attend. You can register today. I'll throw that link in the chat as well. And we're going to be talking about a new course release. We're going to talk about business logic learning journey, and we'll have live Q&A there as well. So make sure to come hang out with us. It'll be me and Deanna on this one, and we'll talk about what's new at AppSheet training. So we'd love to see you guys there, and register and come hang out with us on May the 6th. So that's when this event will happen, and you can find out more by going to this link here. And yeah, so make sure you guys register for this special event. We're really excited about this new course release, and you'll learn all the ins and outs of what we have to offer on our new course release on May the 6th. So make sure to come and hang out with us then. Okay, and then finally, wrapping up, we have next steps and quick links. All the links to get started with AppSheet training, as well as learning more about enterprise accounts as well, is on this page. And all those links I have shared in the chat. And so save the date for our next webinar, May the 5th at 10 a.m. And we will be going into our new campaign for the construction industry. So we're going to create another app suite, and this one's going to have a full suite of apps specific for the construction industry. So if you have friends that are in the construction industry, or you yourself are in the construction industry and you're wanting to learn how to build out these specific apps, we're going to be talking about that for the whole month of May. So we're excited to be announcing that and start building those apps with you guys next month. So get ready for building apps for the construction industry next month. And I think with that, that's all we have for this week's webinar. Thank you guys for joining us. Cam, did you have anything else?
Not really. I just
Cool.
had a ton of fun with this webinar this week. Just felt the chat was very entertaining today and was putting in a lot of useful information for me to use in the future with that Google Doc formatting. And asked some questions that kind of got my mind thinking on things to research. It's awesome to know that there's so much more to learn about AppSheet, even after 4 years. And there's so much research I can still continue to do and learn. Love being on these.
Sweet. Yeah. So make sure to like and subscribe if you like this webinar. It helps the channel out, helps us keep growing and getting more people involved in the no code community. And then I also just saw a comment come in from Rex. Any plans on creating apps for the education? We actually did create some apps for the education industry. And I used to be a teacher about a year ago. So I created a goal tracker app, and Deanna created an inventory app. So I'll link those. Actually, if you want to comment on our YouTube channel, I'll link those to your comment. That way you can have those videos, those video links for you. But yeah, we have created some apps for the education world.
Yeah. He didn't mention this, but our past 4 people that we've hired have all been from the education industry.
Yeah.
And so we have a little bit of an insight on what type of apps the education industry needs. And so we have it all over the place, from high school level, middle school level, elementary level, collegiate, and then like at-risk, special needs, stuff like that. And so we have tons of different experience inside the education field. And so useful apps.
Yes. Sweet. And Rex, I would also recommend signing up for a tech talk with Kale, because then you can dive deep on your specific use case, and he can help you kind of navigate that space in AppSheet. All right. Sweet. Jeremy, if you want to send us your information, I know we've chatted a few times, but yeah, if you are interested, it's always good to connect in that regards as well. So yeah. All right. Thank you guys for staying with us throughout this webinar. This was a lot of fun. Excuse me. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you. Excuse me. We'll see you next week on Thursday, May 5th. We'll see you guys. Y'all have a great one.